about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. He's the debut author of the book, The Great Slapping. No other than Mr. Yogi Mueller.
Hello, good evening.
Welcome to Book 101, Mr. Yogi. And can you please introduce more about yourself?
I sure can. I am from Orlando, Florida, and I'm owner and chief craftsman of Craft Leadership. And it is a bespoke talent development firm helping teams, organizations, and individuals unlock their potential. And yes, I'm very excited that my debut novel, The Great Slapping, The Power of Mentorship, Real Growth, Real Grit, and Real Results. It's coming. It's good, and I love it, and I'm excited.
Mr. Yogi Mueller, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. Is this slapping about tough love, brutal honesty, or a wake up call? What distinguishes it from
Uh,
toxic
all,
criticism?
all of the above.
All of
It's
the
it's
above.
the great slapping refers to those moments you had growing up in the profession that you're in, and somebody really felt that you were better than you are right now, that you had potential, and that you weren't listening. So they kind of grabbed you proverbially by the shoulders and shook you a little bit, and sometimes proverbially slapped you with some feedback to say, "Hey, don't continue doing what you're doing. It's bad. It's going to be a career limiting move. It's bad for your brand." And those types of moments shake you back to reality, like a cold hard slap across the cheek. So I don't advocate violence in any way, but sometimes we need those moments of clarity, and sometimes that proverbial feedback, that tough love, as you said, shakes us back into that reality and removes the clouds and the fog.
Mr. Yogi, does framing mentorship as slapping risk glorifying aggression, or is it necessary to shatter complacency?
I think one of the hallmarks of mentorship is trust between the mentee and the mentor. And with that trust comes the understanding that tough love, those critical pieces of feedback, those moments where you're shook back into reality, are not punishments, they're investments. They're moments where that mentor is like, look, this is what you need to do, and you're not getting it, so I need to shake you a little bit. And I think that moment really, if the mentee buys into what the mentor is doing, and the mentor is doing it for the right reasons, that's the purest form of mentorship right there. That you can give that tough feedback, that critical feedback that may sting, but it's viewed as coming from a genuine interest in developing that other person and investing in their success.
Very well said, Mr. Yogi. Yeah, beautifully, beautifully
I love the studio audience,
articulated. Yes, they like your empowering answer, Mr. Yogi. So, what cultural norms or personal delusions make slapping a necessary intervention today?
I think people are human, and people tend to be hard-headed, and people tend to, we've got that amygdala, that part of our brain that is a fight or flight. And when you get critical feedback, you either want to defend it or you run away from it. And to truly develop, you have to learning occurs with friction. There's a saying, you don't learn how to sail. A sea captain doesn't learn how to sail on smooth waters. They learn how to sail on rough waters. And the more that we can challenge our understanding, our belief system, our personal perceptions, and that increase our self-awareness, our self-accountability, and the ability to see our opportunities and work through them and get better. Sometimes we need somebody to grab us by the back of the collar and pull us through that. because often again people will fight I don't need any help. I don't need any additional education. What was it, Socrates, that said if the smartest man in the world is the one that realizes he knows nothing? Well, we've got a lot of people in the world that think they know it all, and mentors help them break down that wall.
Indeed. So, how does a mentor know when someone is ready to receive hard truth without breaking?
That's a great question. I talk a lot about the this gut feeling that mentors have. You run into people where they're vibrating at a different frequency than the people around them. The potential is palpable in them, and people sometimes don't either realize they have the potential or want to realize that potential. And mentors are the ones that help get them through that. So if there is that trust, as I talked about before, is that quintessential foundation, and the fact that the mentee and the mentor are in this relationship willingly, and in the book I talk about all different aspects of mentorship, types of mentorship, how to get into these relationships. If that trust is there and that gut feeling that this person is capable of more, and it's done willingly, that's a magical equation there. And that algorithm will really help unlock doors for that mentee and the mentor as well.
What trust must exist before a mentor can deliver a disruptive feedback, Mr. Yagi?
Back to that trust. Back to that trust. If that, I cannot stress how important that is, because if your motives as the mentor are questioned, the why you are saying something, why you're pointing out this, if those motives are anything other than genuinely interested in develop somebody else, that other person, it's not going to work. And if that other person doesn't see those comments, those critiques, those working through those challenging situations as an investment, it's not going to work. And the key for that is absolute trust between the two.
Absolute trust, for sure. So, can true mentors still need slaps themselves? How do they stay receptive?
How do mentors require the slaps?
Yes.
Absolutely. One of the things I talk about in the book is what a mentor is not. And there's a lot of traps that mentors can fall into. Mentors maybe feel they need to have all the answers. That's not true. If you go in expecting to be the all-knowing oracle in any situation, you're going to be able to you're not going to give really honest feedback to them. If you are a mentor that crosses the line into maybe being parental or being more like their supervisor versus that mentor, those are situations that can evolve if you develop a close relationship with that mentee. That is when that mentor needs a slap. And good mentors all have mentors as well. In fact, I had a meeting the other day morning when a mentor reached out to me and said, "Hey, can you mentor me in being a mentor?" So if mentors again feel they know it all, they're in the wrong room, and they need a little proverbial slapping as well to get them back to that understanding that their purpose in life, their purpose in this relationship is that other person.
Mr. Yogi, what's the line between a growth catalyst and emotional harm? Share a slop gone wrong story.
Hmm. Wow. A love gone wrong story. Well, all right. I will tell you, there's a moment in the book that I talk about a former student of mine. And this was one of the most poignant examples that I had of how growth conversations can go horribly wrong. And to paraphrase this student, and I'll call him John in the book, um, was a bright student, amazing potential, sharp, creative, talented. But every day he showed up to my class and did not apply himself. He was lazy. he turned in work late. His work was sloppy, but I knew he was capable of so much more. So one day I sent the class on break and I brought John up to my desk and I basically said, John, what the heck are you doing? You are one of the most brightest, talented, most creative guys that I've known. And this guy was about 25, 26. It was in the master's program. And I said, but you don't show up. Your work is sloppy. You look like you don't care, but you are capable of so much more. And this 26-year-old boy, man, starts crying. I'm like, oh my God, what? I felt horrible. And he looks at me and he says, you know what? Nobody ever told me that. My high school counselors told me I was going to be a failure. My parents told me I was going to be a failure, and I believed them. And so when you look at that critical feedback, if you're not doing it the right way, you can negatively impact a life. This young man lit up because somebody said he was worth more and valued more than he felt himself. And it's only because it's been reinforced by everybody in his life that was supposed to be there for him and make a difference in his life. They did, but a negative one. So the power of being in positions where that feedback is given, it's a lot of power and a lot of responsibility to a mentor, that when you have somebody's literal psyche and belief in themselves in your own hands, that again, tremendous responsibility with that power that you have.
Very well said and empowering. Sorry, Mr. Yogi. Truly empowering. When is a gentle cultivation more effective than disruption?
I think one key. I love quotes, Daniel, and one of my favorite quotes is, "One key does not unlock every door." And
True.
I think if you apply a blanket approach to your mentorship, I think that's a mistake. Every dynamic, every individual, every situation is different, and you have to come at it situationally. That's a lot of syllables, right? But you have to be flexible because you have to understand their emotions. You have to understand where they are in life, where their successes are, where their opportunities are. And you, again, with that great power that you have as a mentor, where they're listening to you, they're looking to you for guidance. You need to make sure that you're not only delivering the right message, but the medium into it, the method in which you're delivering it is also important. So I can't stress enough that it's not a one size fits all operation. Being a mentor, you absolutely have to get into the heart and mind of that mentee and deliver what they need, when they need it, and how they need it.
Mr. Yogi, as an author, what are your short term and long term goals?
I wrote this book, Daniel, because one, I wanted to really thank my mentees and mentors. I interviewed many of them. A lot of their experiences of mentoring me and me mentoring them is in the book. And I wanted to show my appreciation for that. But I also, Daniel, wrote it because I fear for the future of mentorship. I fear where we have experienced individuals who lack a patience to reach the younger generation, and a younger generation that not only doesn't have the patience to hang out with us boomers, but also feedback to them is very sensitive. A lot of times feedback is taken personally. And to be an effective mentor, you have to deliver critical feedback. And so I see these two diverging paths. And I think that's a crime for humanity, because potential unlost could be the next cure for cancer. It could be the next peacemaker. You never know. And so we need to invest in that. So to answer your question, I do hope that people read this. I hope they see this as a call to action, and either find a mentor or find a mentee and grow or pass on their knowledge. But I also hope that that universities and organizations and community organizations pick up on this as well. And I'd love to be a part of helping them grow a culture of mentorship in their organization, their university, or their business.
Good luck to your goals, Mr. Yogi, and looking forward for more and more and more success. And what would be your piece of advice for those people out there want to be an author like you?
Get it down, figure out a way to get it down on paper, because everybody's got stuff in their head. It's probably been there forever. Everybody has 2 or 3 books they want to write. Getting that first sentence down on paper is the catalyst. Just get it down on paper, vomit the words out on a paper, vomit your thoughts, just get it out there, and then go back and look at it. But that first step is a doozy, but once you make it, it gets easier from there. And I will tell you, Daniel, that I was lucky to have a mentor me who's been an author. Kevin McCarthy is an author of On Purpose Person and about a half a dozen or more books. And he graciously offered to be my mentor in doing this as well. So I literally had a mentor writing my book on mentorship, and he wrote my foreword in the book.
And thank you so much for your advice, Mr. Yogi. And how can mentors avoid abusing their authority under the guise of helping?
If you find that, it's because a mentor feels it's about them. I've had mentors in the past. I've worked with other people mentoring others where it was a ego trip for them to be a mentor, and that's so wrong. If you are being a mentor is incredibly generous offer to make. I think it was Nelson Henderson, I'm paraphrasing. He says, happiness is planting a seed of a tree whose shade you will never enjoy. And I think that's the mantra of every good mentor, that you are investing in this person because it's the right thing to do. You're going to help this person be a better version of themselves, and you expect nothing in return. And if there are expectations, those are those mentors that are going to have those issues.
Mr. Yogi, how does slapping translate across genders, generations, or cultural or cultures without perpetuating harm?
Wow, that's a great question. I kind of addressed that in the first couple of paragraphs of my book. Um, it calls out not the action of slapping, but the awakening, the jolt of reality, and even the concept of a little painful feedback. Because sometimes if you're getting feedback, it stings a little, right?
Yeah.
And so it's the sensation of slapping that we're talking about. I think the second sentence is I advocate no violence at all, physical violence at all, which is so important. I will tell you that I've had very, very good luck in working with younger individuals and being able to be critical with them, and give them tough feedback. In fact, you'll hear directly from some of my mentees in the book with my interviews with them. I think that, again, there is this sensitivity that we talked about with feedback and feeling negative feedback is an attack, and I'm generalizing here with our younger generation, but I think when it's packaged with that genuine interest, that trust, and that you have their interest at heart, you'd be amazed of how that works and how receptive they are to that tough feedback. Now, it may not happen overnight. Relationships take time to develop. And so, as a mentor, you need to understand when that moment is, when that trust is built, that rapport is built between the two of them, between the mentor and the mentee. And then you can make those things. Making it too early, that might be a mistake because that trust isn't built.
Again, Mr. Yogi, very well said. Very well said. And can this approach work with generations valuing psychological safety over bluntness?
I think so. I think I developed a mindset called embrace the grit. And I reference this in the book, and I use that in my business at Craft Leadership. And the grit is an acronym, and it stands for get over yourself, reassess with honesty, invest in improvement, and treasure the growth and lessons that you are on this journey of growth. And the more we can frame up this critical part of mentorship, this growth aspect, this, I talk about when you're building a piece of furniture, before you put the final coat on it to finish it, you have to rough it up with sandpaper a little bit. And again, in order for us to grow, we have to have that angst. We have to have that friction in order for us to get better. And if, again, I go back to, if it's packaged correctly, you can have success not only absorbing that feedback and that rough kind of critical critique of what you're doing, but also provide that as a mentor as well.
Let's talk about the impact and legacy, Mr. Yogi. What's the cause of never receiving a wake-up call?
Oh, I fear it. And there's a passage, if you would give me a second to read it. But
Yes, go ahead.
I said, there's nothing more tragic. This is the send-off chapter. There's nothing more tragic than potential unrealized, no greater loss of spark left unfanned. This haunts me. It is a reminder of what could have been, its slow erosion, a loss of dreams, skills, and possibilities that are never allowed to see the light. Every person carries a spark, a unique combination of talents, ideas, and insights that, if nurtured and fanned effectively, could transform not only their life, but also impact countless others. I think that's the damage if potential is left unrealized.
Yes, indeed. So what was the most pivotal slap you received and how did it reshape you?
So I wrote I call him my hero. He was I worked for the Walt Disney Company for many years in Orlando, Florida, and I had a leader that was tough on me. He was tough on me on everything I did. He was critical on me. He busted up everything I was doing. Always had questions. Always said, "Well, why couldn't you do it this way? How come it wasn't done better?" And I always felt he was tougher on me than my fellow peers. And one day I just had enough, Daniel. I was done. I stormed into his office. I slammed my fist on his desk, and I said, "Why the hell do you treat me so badly and so much worse than my peers?" And he looks at me and he goes, "'Cause I expect more from you." And that was a slap. I did not have a comeback. And he challenged me at that point to realize that potential is something amazing. And sometimes that potential lies underneath the surface. And sometimes you need somebody to help drill that surface to pull that out. He was my guy. He woke me up. And I remember just looking at him, turning around and walking out of his office because that stung right there. But it changed my life. It changed my life.
Yes, encouraging and empowering slap for sure. And Mr. Yogi, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and for you, my book 101 review in its fifth season too, comedy 101 in second season, and my food 101 in fifth season as well. Geography 101 in fourth season, and my baby podcast, Law 101 and Mental Health 101, Love Letters in third season, and Movie 101 Review and Music 101 in its fourth season, as well as my Science 101 and Sex 101 in its first season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your
You are a
podcast.
legend, Daniel. You are a legend.
Thank you, sir. So, Mr. Yogi, how can someone seek out or invite transformative slaps without waiting for crisis?
Seek it out. If you are somebody that embraces the grit, that you can get over yourself, you're going to reassess your opportunities, you're going to invest in improving, and you're going to treasure those lessons. Find somebody that you trust. Find somebody that you feel has knowledge that you don't have, that can give you critical feedback, that will invest in you, that will come willingly to the table to be your mentor. Don't be passive. Go out, tap somebody on the shoulder, and say, "Hey, would you be my mentor?" I've done it, so can you.
Mr. Yogi Mueller, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world through your book. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your book as well as your advocacy or any projects that you're doing right now?
Yes, the book is available on Amazon.com starting June 30th, and you can reach me at craftleadership.net.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Yogi Mueller because if you support him, more and more and more empowering books like this to come, more and more empowering advocacy to come. So, Mr. Yogi, thank you so much for your time.
It was an honor and a pleasure, sir. Thank you.
More to come, people. See you soon.